happened to be looking for a job, divorced my wife. This woman sued me out of my apartment, probably bribed the right people. What am I explaining? You already know how justice works in this country, and if it wasn't for my mom, I'd be homeless. Anyway, I was looking for any kind of work. I had to earn something. My mom, with her meager pension, could barely make it for the two of us. She needed help. Anyway, I didn't go anywhere. I had no education. Mostly I asked for a watchman. I advertised on the website saying I was looking for a job and so on. 2 days later, I got a call. A gruff male voice offered me a job. Guess where? Well, of course, in the morgue, as a watchman. The pay was good. Very good. That's what made me take the job. I was dictated the address, and literally immediately after the call, I got dressed and came to the interview. It's a short drive. That was another plus. My mood was starting to improve. In about 40 minutes, I reached my destination. The morgue was next to the district hospital, maybe 200 meters from it. It was a small white brick building. Some places had bricked-up windows. Well, it wasn't hard to guess that's where I was going. Going inside, I felt the gloominess of this room with every centimeter of my body. The security room caught my eye right away. A man of about 60 years old was sitting inside and was slowly going somewhere. Apparently, his shift was already over. Just out of one of the offices came an uncle in a bathrobe. Apparently, it was the chief in this kingdom of the dead. He came up to me and said, "Hello, are you Michael?" "Yes," I answered. "How good of you to come. The day before yesterday, our caretaker quit. We need to replace him. Do you agree? What are the terms? Schedule? Salary?" "Well, I told you about the salary on the phone. It's a day-after-day schedule." His phone rang suddenly. "Yes, I'm coming. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry. I've been called into surgery. Robert's getting ready. He'll tell you all about it." "Robert, please come over here and explain to the man the ins and outs of your hard work." Having said that, he smiled. Then he added, "By the way, Michael, you can go out tonight. Well, if you don't mind, of course." "No, I'm very much in favor of it." "Well, that's good." We shook hands, and he went about his business. "Come on, Michael. I'll show you around and tell you all about it," said Robert. He opened the door to his room. "Sit down. You want some coffee?" "Yeah, I'd love some," said I. Robert turned on the boiling pot and put it in an aluminum mug with water, and sat down at the table. It's not a dusty job. You sit up all night and stare at monitors. There are some strange things, of course, but don't be frightened. The atmosphere here is not very good, so the slightest sound or rustle can leave you a strand of gray hair on your head. Sometimes they bring in new bodies, then the doctor on duty from the hospital, or whoever's on duty. Tonight you're off at 11 till 9. One more thing. Robert's look changed to something mysterious. "Michael, try to leave this room as little as possible. And if you can, don't go out at all." "Why?" I asked worriedly. "Corpses sometimes get up and walk around." Robert laughed. He clapped me on the shoulder, took his bag, left me his phone, and left. I smiled and left after him. Walking out of the morgue, I thought about Robert's words for a bit. Corpses stand up. Very funny. But he was serious when he asked me not to leave. When I got home, that thought went out of my head and I decided to take a nap, since I'd have to be on duty all night. After surfing the internet for a while, I closed my eyes and fell into a dream world. I woke up at 11:30 in the evening. I overslept. I started to get ready, made a couple sandwiches, and ran out of the house so I wouldn't miss my first day of work. Or rather, the night. I had to call a cab. Anyway, got to the morgue, 15 minutes late. Once inside, I heard some chatter. Throwing my things into the guard's room, I decided to walk around and inspect my possessions for the night. I'm not talking about sanitary conditions. They just don't exist here, and probably never have. What's the matter? The dead don't really care anymore. Suddenly, one of the doors opened and a fat pathologist came out with a cigarette and smoked in the room. "Oh, hi. Are you the new watchman?" Yes, I answered. "I'm Nicholas. Can I just say Nick? We got a body here about 2 hours ago. We're just finishing up now and we'll be on our way. So don't worry about it. You can go to your office and make yourself comfortable. Robert showed you everything, didn't he?" "Yeah. And boy, try not to leave the room." I shuddered. "Why?" "Corpses walk around at night. Laughing loudly, Nick shouted. He clapped me on the shoulder and went to finish his work apparently. My tension was building. They seemed to be going a little crazy already. You can tell from one or the other. It's no wonder to spend every day among a pile of dead bodies in this oppressive atmosphere. So I went to the watchman's room, put on my coat with the inscription security, brewed some coffee, and watched the cameras, as Robert had told me to do. There were cameras everywhere, in the corridor, in every office, and in this very room where the corpses were being dealt with and the refrigerators were located. In this room, they were working on the very corpse that Nick had said had been brought in 2 hours ago. In the office was he and, apparently, a trainee or assistant who was logging every action of the pathologist. About 20 minutes later on cell 3, I saw them stuffing the corpse into a refrigerator drawer and walking down the hallway to the locker room. They're done, I thought. An inexplicable uneasiness was setting in, probably because I'm alone among the dead for the night. And you know, I'm not superstitious, but this fact did not leave me in my imagination alone. It's weird. Almost an hour passed, no one came out, and I saw nothing on the cameras. The corridor was empty. Should I go out, see what's out there? They told me not to go anywhere. What am I supposed to do? Shit, it was a joke. They must be scaring everyone. I thought, and opened the door of my office and went out to investigate. It was dead quiet. I thought I could hear my heart beating as I approached the locker room. Nicholas jumped out at me screaming. To say that I was scared is not to say anything. He laughed out loud. What, scared? Calm down. I'm fixing what that asshole described, and I have to give it to the police tomorrow. That's why I got held up. I could tell he was being funny, of course. What can you do? It's a man's job. It's really possible to get a bit brain dead. The tension slowly disappeared and I went back to my room. I looked at the monitor for 10 minutes. On the third camera, I noticed one interesting thing. One of the cells in the refrigerator was open. That's odd, thought. Maybe they forgot to close it. I don't care. It happens all the time. People got tired and simply forgot to close it. I didn't think much of it. About half an hour later, Nicholas, already changed, came out into the corridor and moved toward the exit, followed by his trainee. Okay, we're off. Good night, Michael. Night. I'm alone. I took a cigarette and went outside for a smoke. The anxiety was coming back, incomprehensible and bone-chilling. After finishing and throwing away the cigarette butt, I went into the morgue and into my office. The following picture immediately caught my eye. I looked again at the third cell. 2 more cells were open. Strange, only one was open. I reassured myself that it must be that way and that Nick had done it before he left, so I locked the door and fell asleep. I slept surprisingly soundly. I woke up in the morning to a very loud pop that echoed down the long, empty hallway. It knocked me over. What was that? I looked at the cell. All 3 cells were closed. How do you explain that? A draft? Well, let's call it a draft. I didn't really want to think it was the corpses that had crawled out. It's 8 o'clock. Slowly the staff are starting to get ready, so I got changed and went home. Robert's on duty today. It's my shift again. I was on time this time. First thing I did was brew some coffee and sit down at the monitors. About 5 minutes later, I saw Nick, who is a pathologist, walk briskly towards me, open the door and say, "Come out for a smoke." We're having a conversation. He said it with some kind of fear, some kind of anxiety or something. When he got outside, he started his story. "All right, Michael, something's going on here." "What's going on?" I asked him. "Hey, listen, there was a body brought in on your shift, remember?" Yeah. Anyway, he was lying in the refrigerator yesterday. Nobody picked him up, and I didn't open the locker. This afternoon, I thought I'd check it out, see what's in there. I open it, and there's Robert. He's dead. His body's all torn up, and there's no body of the woman I put in there the day before yesterday. Are you kidding me again? No, I'm not falling for that anymore. It's no joke, bro. The police were here all day today, investigative team and so on. I got goosebumps. He said it very convincingly. Nick, did you open the fridge door the day before yesterday? Why would I open them? The corpse would rot. I always keep them closed tight. That's when I realized something was going on here. You better be careful, Michael. Don't leave the gatehouse. He lit a cigarette, shook my hand, said goodbye, and left. I went to the gatehouse, closed all the locks, and began to watch the cameras closely. My head was full of thoughts. It was scary and interesting at the same time, and I drank coffee. I didn't want to sleep. After an hour and a half, some mysticism started. Anyway, I'm sitting, watching monitors, and clearly see how the refrigerator drawer opens and someone comes out of it. I swear to you, and then another one opens and another one opens, and suddenly the lights go out in this room. Fear enveloped me. My heart jumped out of my chest. The screen in front of the camera went dark, but the room was slightly illuminated by the light from the hallway. And right in front of the camera, I saw a face. It was a girl. She was looking directly into the camera. You could clearly see that her throat had been cut. What's going on here? This thing knew I was here, but how? Panicked fear overcame me. Then the thing that made me gray now happened. In the second cell, I saw movement. Suddenly there was a squeal, a woman's squeal. It was kinda rough or something. It made my blood run cold. The squeal was followed by quick footsteps. And in the second cell, I saw this corpse running toward me, followed by 3 or 4 others. That horrifying thing crashed into the door of the gatehouse with such force that I thought they were going to break it down now. I huddled in a corner under the table and tried to remember everything I knew from prayer. But it wasn't working. And as I looked up, I saw faces. They were leaning against the glass and looking straight into my soul. The faces were unnaturally white. They were corpses, but alive. And I pressed the security console to call them. And this thing with its throat slit rammed on the door, and its cronies started smashing the glass. After about 10 blows, it shattered. And just as I heard the life-saving hum of the engine outside, as one, the whole lot gathered and ran into the cold room. The guards, having entered the morgue, rushed to me at once, to say that the corpses came to life and broke to me in the gatehouse, so for a madman will be taken. Anyway, he said someone was banging on the morgue, so I called it in. Second day on the job, all that. As soon as they left, I packed up all my stuff and got out of the damn place as fast as I could. Left the keys and the remote at the hospital with the nurse on duty and went home. I've believed in mysticism ever since. The gray hairs on my head never let me forget the horror I experienced. What it was, I don't know. Did Nick or Robert know anything about it? They probably did, but they told it to me as a joke. Idiots.